We have Warren Fleetwood, who is a candidate for Gibson County Commissioner. Joining us in the conversation and interview is Patty Van Oven, who's the Executive Director of the Gibson County Chamber of Commerce, Tara Barney, the President and CEO of the Southwest Indiana Chamber, and John Briscoe, who is a Government Affairs Committee member for our chamber. Tara, I'll turn the conversation over to you. Actually, I think I'm turning it over to Patty. My apologies.
Patty, yeah.
No Patty, take it away.
All right, Warren, I will be asking you this question, the first question. I hope you're ready.
Oh, yeah, great. Thanks.
We all know that the I-69 corridor is finished in our county, and we are just wanted to know how you will support development near the interstate and how you plan to ensure that that investment of the 69 project is going to make a positive impact on our community.
A great question, and I would expect many folks are interested in the answer to that. Let me back up just a little bit, if I could, and tell you a little bit about my experience and using opportunity. I had a great teacher in David L. Rice. David L. Rice was the president of the University of Southern Indiana. And I had the opportunity to meet him and interview him, along with Sherry Ann Stanley and several others there in the community. And one thing I learned about David L. Rice is, and I'll quote him here, he always would say, you know, when talking about the campus and establishing it in our area, he said, you know, I knew there was an opportunity here. And so I see the I-69 corridor as a great opportunity for us, our community, and surrounding communities, the entire region. I think that would be a prime location for many opportunities to stimulate growth in the East Gibson area and probably tie into our surrounding area. An industrial park would not be out of the way, as well as some other accommodating resources that might benefit our county and surrounding counties.
Well, that's great, because that's music to our ears, especially given this past year we've gone through. So I'm kind of interested in asking you about the budget in general, because the pandemic has caused such a different circumstance as far as revenues to our local governments, and belt tightening is inevitable. Love to know your thoughts on where you'd support continued funding or even increased funding from where things are currently, and what areas you might see that could stand to be contracted if need be.
Well, I think if anything, a great question. And I think if anything, we need to look at those resources very carefully, especially when utilizing such things as our TIF funds within our county. Regionally, I believe that, you know, if we work with groups like the Chamber, we can ultimately use some of the resources available to us, such as grant writing. When I was on the town council in Fort Branch, we worked closely with a lady, Debbie Bennett-Steersman, and she was an outstanding resource for us. And so I think ultimately we're going to have to look at our budget. We're going to have to tighten our belt, but we cannot use this COVID or use this pandemic as a reason for backing off economic development in the future. We have to look at it as a challenge, as a hurdle, and we have to make strides beyond this. If anything, I think we need to come out of this stronger than ever.
Thank you. Appreciate that. John, do you want to ask a question here?
Yeah, next question goes into population growth, and you touched on it just a little bit in your earlier response. So as a region, obviously, we're trying to grow the population, and one group that we're targeting is the 20 to 34-year-olds, and do anything we can to grow that. What sort of programs or infrastructure investments do you believe can be made to help attract more people to the region?
You know, John, I think we need to partner with area communities such as Evansville and many others to foster something that would improve our entire regional footprint as far as population goes. If our goal is to increase our population footprint, then we need to work together. We need to collaborate on bringing things together and sharing what we're bringing together. So if we're going to have festivals, music festivals, if we're going to have wine tasting, if we're going to have you know, night at the library events, whatever it might be, anything from a summer fest to a West Side fall, you know, a nut club type festival, fall nut club festival, whatever it might be, we need to coordinate those things together and sort of help one another to bring people in. Now, if we're going to use if we're going to take a finite look at all this, I think we all have something in common in our region, that is grow the population. How do you grow a population? Well, you take the bull by the horns, so to speak. You go in and you look at ways to build, for instance, subdivisions. And, you know, here in Gibson County, we're looking at subdivisions, and we have some very nice opportunities for folks to live here in our county, as I'm sure Evansville and Vanderburgh County, Posey County, surrounding counties do too. So I think all of our counties need to sort of market that, what we can bring into our counties, bring into our region. Again, we're talking about region improvement and regional population, not so much one area. And I think if we can all work together to improve our region, then we'll all individually see growth and improvement. I would like to see us here in Gibson County, for instance, bring in developers that target the income level of some of the folks looking to reside in Gibson County. What might that area be? Well, $150,000, $200,000 range. We already have some areas set aside for the higher level, if you will, beyond that housing. But I think we need to target some of those, as you mentioned, 20 to 30-year-olds and what they can afford. And yet, we're looking to bring in housing that is suitable for our communities too. So we need to sort of work with developers that can meet those needs. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
Well,
thank you.
It certainly is something I'm interested in hearing about, because I think that you make a great point about housing, and you certainly have described a rising tide does lift all boats. So thinking regionally is something that both Patty and I spend a lot of time working on. I've got to ask the elephant in the room question, though. Zoning has been such a hot topic in Gibson County. Can you just share your perspective and what you see as the next steps in this conversation?
Yes, I'd be glad to. Zoning has been an issue that's sort of surfaced here in recent years. And my thinking more or less is there are many other big issues. I know zoning is a big issue and people are looking at that, but my main focus is on working for the future and working to develop our county and making us an integral part of the chamber and what they're doing regionally. So ultimately, I'm sort of a big picture kind of guy, and my thinking is we need to make this work and do what we can to improve our county. So I'm looking more at maybe not so much the zoning issue as I am how can we grow along these corridors. And you mentioned earlier the I-69 corridor. That's a very important part of my plan to develop our county and to enhance the region. I also think we need to look at the Interstate 64 where Gibson and Posey County meet. There's a large area down there, and we have within that area some very strong ag-related industry that would benefit from an industrial park in that area.
Well, those are both good ideas, and so I'm very interested in hearing them, and look forward to hearing more. Patty, do you want to ask another question here? Because I've got a million, but go for it.
Thanks, Tara. So Warren, I just want to give you the opportunity, if there's anything that we haven't covered or if there's anything that you want to touch on, what kind of other priorities are you going to champion in your term as commissioner?
Well, let's face it, we have a vacuum right now. And I think it's a vacuum that we can either become complacent with or we can establish some much needed change. The change I'm talking about is the very thing that David L. Rice used to speak about all the time when talking about the University of Southern Indiana. To grow our county, we are going to have an affable perception for change. And the key ingredient here is we have to be willing to change. We have to be willing to change the way we've done things in the past, technology, and our efforts. Together, I think this region can continue to grow if we are affable to change and look for opportunities that are out there. Just today, I was talking to someone higher up, if you will, in the energy industry. And he told me, he said, you know, Warren, he said, there are all kinds of things going on right now to clean energy, improve energy resources, make them more efficient and more affordable. And he said, you know, you can be a catalyst for change if you're willing to step up for your county and lead them into some of these new opportunities. The funding is there. The federal government is behind them. Of course, our region is going to be behind them. So I think the key ingredient here, Patty, is we need change, and it needs to be driven by a leader who is willing to get out there and negotiate and find the best solutions for not only our county, but this great region.
Well, I'm going to follow on that because I think that's an auspicious way to thank you for your time and to really wish you well, because I know deciding to run for office is not a small decision. And so we appreciate you doing it. And we sure hope that this little conversation and getting it out is helpful to you in sharing your priorities and your thoughts with the region. And we wish you the best in the upcoming, I don't know, 7 weeks, is it out, or whatever whatever remains in the time.
20 days or less here. Yes, yes. And
it's nice to meet you, at least by video.
My pleasure. Thank you.